also. And during the presentation, we will recommend that you sort of start thinking about some of these theoretical models we have had through the course. For instance, think in this side of the room on how this relates to the star model, and that in this side of the room, think about how it relates to the canvas for business models. So afterwards, when Stephen presented, we will have a break, and then you will be able to ask questions to Stephen after the break. So,
sure.
Welcome.
First of all, thank you guys so much for having me. It's an honor to be able to present our company to you guys. We are an R&D heavy company, and most of our R&D team are from this institution, and we continuously recruit from this institution, so it's of course very important that you guys know who we are. My name is Stephen Christensen. I work with primarily digital marketing at DPA. I also do some project management. I've been involved in a lot of product launches, which is also the reason why I'm here today, because this case has to do with a product launch. Please don't allow me to just talk at you. If you have any questions when they relate to the slides, let's discuss them. If you have something you feel need to be talked about. DPA Microphone, how many knew DPA Microphones before you read this case? Exactly. Brylenkær? A few more. DPA Microphones, we are located, our main offices is in Allerød, just north of here, and our production facility is in Asnæs. We are a global company developing, manufacturing, and selling microphones to the high end of the high-end market. Meaning that's why none of you guys have heard of us. The DTO technicians know us. We are right here. We have the best microphones in the world. We don't have microphones in every segment, every type of microphone. But when we create a microphone for a particular type of microphone, we create the best and the most expensive. But people who know us, they are usually within the high-end market. They are audio engineers, they are recording artists. We have grown 15% average every year the last 10 years. And that's a lot. That is huge for a manufacturing company like us. I know we've seen huge growth within the tech industry, but bear in mind, they have very low overhead costs. If they want to expand, they buy 2 more servers and some more people. That's it. When we are always at capacity, when we sell our microphones, it's too expensive to have some of our microphones lying around on stock. We need to sell it as we make it. So every time we grow 15%, that means we have to grow the facility 15%, we have to hire 15% more staff, and we have to invest 15% more money in stock of all the stuff that goes into an actual microphone. So continuously growing 15% every year for 10 years, that is amazing, and we are very proud of it. We have doubled the R&D resources the last 4 years, and the next 2 years we're going to double it again. We've had new management come in, so we looked at our growth curve, and we figured out that every time we came with a new product, that's when we had the steepest curve. We had the organic growth slowly, but every time we make a new product, it goes straight up. So we want to build more products. The goal is to have 2 new products every single year of the major category. We're talking a new vocal microphone, a new type of miniature, and then 4 smaller ones. A smaller one could be a clip or whatever accessory. That requires a lot. And that's also an open invitation to you guys. I'm sorry, it's my CEO. I promised to say this, but we are recruiting a lot. So if any of you is working within areas that relates to microphones, be sure to have us in mind and send an application. And actually right now I just got told, heading out the door, that we are looking for student assistants for our product manager. So it has to do with research within the markets that are available, looking into price lists, price segments, and stuff like that. So if any of you are interested, make sure to send us an application. We are now more than 200 employees. This is an old slide. A lot of those employees are in Asnes, and they are the production facility. They are mostly female, and the reason they are mostly female is that the production of these microphones is so miniature, it requires so much finesse, that every time we hired men to do the work, it didn't work. So I think we have 2 guys and 120 women producing all these microphones. I've brought a lot of dummies here. I thought you should see. They don't work, so don't be scared about breaking them. You have these type of microphones. I'll send them around so you can see them. Lavaliers, they're called. They're typically used here. You see them on news broadcasts. They are also used if you take them off this one. Yeah. They are hidden in hair, in clothes for movie or theater. Theater also uses these types of mics. And this is almost the same product. It's a bit smaller and designed to be hidden in here, so you really can't see it, but it captures audio. In the same category, this is our necklace microphone. It was designed along with the guy who does Big Brother. And the reason for this being that they, in Big Brother, they are in a closed room. There's no audio technicians, but they still have to wear audio equipment, but they are really not that good at it. So to make sure we have a consistent placement that they can easily, they just have this necklace that they put around. And there it is, the same place every time. If I can get it off, they can. This is not an ideal placement for a microphone, but at least it's consistent. Let's take this one. These are instrument microphones. They are used to what we call close mic instruments. The reason for that being in a live setting where you have a lot of different microphones, of course, a microphone will pick up all the audio. But the closer you get to the source, the more you make sure that that's the only signal it picks up, so you're able to do your mix afterwards. These comes with loads of clips. This is for a guitar. And it's a very popular product. Then we have the headsets, like the one I'm wearing here. This is a very rigid construction used especially for theater, where they have to be really firm because they are dancing around, they are sweating and jumping. We have different variants. And this is the gold. This is our 4006. This one stems from all the way back to Brüel & Kjær. Brüel & Kjær does measurement microphones. And this is a very, very precise microphone. It's labeled as the standard to which you measure other microphones, because this is so clean and so linear. And this is also hella expensive. And this one is usually used for film and TV. It's a booming mic that you have overhead. All of these are modular. So this is the microphone capsule. This has an interference tube, because this one is very directional, meaning that it picks up audio just from you right now, limiting all the other stuff. So when they're booming, they can point it wherever they want the audio. And finally, the one the case is all about is our de facto handheld. This is obviously the one, if somebody told you to draw a microphone, this is what you would be drawing. They are usually used for the lead singers. Often they are wireless. This one right here is with our own handle, so you plug it into an XLR output, a wired output. But something our product has that none of the other products has is the modularity. So this handle you don't use. This is the microphone, this is the capsule. And you can use it on a wireless receiver here. And now you have a microphone, and you put this onto a Sennheiser or Shure handle. It is something none of our competitors have, but the reason for that being is that they both sell the microphone and the wireless system. We only sell the microphone, so we need to adapt. Yes. As I said, we started with Brüel & Kjær back in '82. It started with these very precise measurement microphone and one guy who had a daughter who was doing some sort of radio broadcast with singing and classical orchestra. He had the idea of taking these precise measurement microphones and doing a radio broadcast with these microphones. He was an amateur at the time. He did that, and it was for the Danish broadcasting network, DR, and they were blown away by the audio quality. And they kept asking, how did you do this? How did you get such a clean output? How did you get this amazing audio? So Brüel & Kjær decided to start an audio division, taking the measurement microphones, adapting them for live broadcast and live performances. In '92, Brüel & Kjær decided that was not a good idea. It wasn't really paying off. So 2 of the employees who'd been heading that department, they said, well, can we take over that? We buy the expensive microphones from you, we produce ourselves, and we create DPA Microphones. So they did. Some years later, we merged with a little company called MuFone. MuFone made hearing aids and were very, very skilled in the very small microphones. So us being able to take our very precise technology with measurement microphones and apply that in a small form factor, that was something the market had never seen before. And we ruled the market for several years. Nobody had a product that was even close to our product. In 2013, things really started to take off. We were bought by Riverside Venture Fund, and they have been spending a lot of money in our company. And we've grown really fast ever since, especially the R&D have received loads and loads of resources. And then at the end of last year, we did something we haven't done before. We acquired some of our distributors. We set up an office in Germany and one in UK instead of going through distributors. I'll get back to our distributor network afterwards. The 3 key concepts that's in all our microphones is the clarity, consistency, and durability. And those are really the things that sets us apart, no matter which microphone we are talking about. If we take the clarity, our microphones are extremely clear. There's almost no noise, and the output is very linear. When you have a microphone, you have what's called a frequency response. And that's a response curve that shows at different sound frequencies how is the microphone performing. And getting a totally linear output is very difficult, but we are really skilled at it. And especially in the area there's a particular area between 1 kilohertz and 4 kilohertz, which is the essential area when it comes to understanding the speech. When you hear a theater or a movie, really understanding what they're saying, that's the essential part of the frequency. And at particularly that point, we are really, really good. The consistency is very important because when we produce our microphone, they are tested and tested and tested. And we have a very, very narrow tolerance for our microphones. That means that if I take this microphone off and put this one on, they will sound almost exactly the same. And that's a huge benefit to all the audio technicians, especially in theater, because in theater, these microphones break. They just do. And during the mid-break, they don't need to level out the sound. They can just replace the microphone, and it sounds exactly the same. The same goes for movie theater or any live segment. And it's something our clients are very happy about. And then there's the durability. Durability is a relative concept. If you take the 4006, the big pencil mics I passed around, they last for years. If you look at eBay, you can still find some of the original Brüel & Kjær 4006. They are more than 25 years old, and they are still performing. If you take these miniature mics, they are make and break. In a theater, they keep buying microphones because they have a lot of sweat. Sweat has salt, and it's really bad for electronics. So they're just used to them breaking, but ours don't break as often as all our competitors. See where we're going? Oh. Yeah, we have microphones for all segments. Depending on which segment, there are different mics they like to use. The house of worship is something that we've become very big within the last couple of years. In the US, this is huge. They have these mega churches where they have seating for 35,000, 50,000 people at just one sermon. And they have loads of money, and they are willing to spend it. So we love that market. One market that is not on here, but it's very interesting, is the gaming market. A lot of the big studios, EA and Blizzard, they use our miniature mics when they create the games, especially when they do what's it called, they film the actors with all the sensors on them and record the speech. They have begun using our microphones because they are just better than the competitors. Once people start using DPA, they are usually very easily become our brand ambassadors. They like our product very much. And that means that we have right now recruited a little more than 100 people who works for us almost free because they love our product so much. What they get is a kit that fits their segment. If they are an audio engineer, they get a kit with some of our latest mics. They also get to test new mics when they come out before everybody else. In exchange, they work for us for free in the sense that they show off our microphones to all of their friends. And if we have, for instance, a news broadcast station in the middle of the US, we're not able to get to them, we can send one of these guys, and they are willing to do it because they love our product. And it's something I'm very proud of. When I switched to DPA, it was because I wanted to work with a product I could be proud of. This is not bullshit. It is an amazing product. It is really, really expensive, but it's an amazing product. Some of the stories I enjoy the most. This is Alien Covenant, came out last year from Ridley Scott. What they do when they shoot these big movies, they do what they call dailies. At the end of every day, they will take all the shots done in the day, and they will find the best shots. They will put it on a reel and send to all the important people, and they will look at it afterwards. Just to see how the day went, if there's something we need to reshoot the next day. And when Ridley Scott received the first daily from this, a guy called Ben Osmo was the audio guy for this movie. He asked Ben Osmo when the hell did he have the time to tweak the audio and make the audio sound great, and his reply was, well, we didn't. It was straight out of the mics that were put in the helmet. And usually when they do these movies, they need to do some ADR or dubbing afterwards, just replace some of the audio, because especially these action movies with a lot of effects, you have movement, you have noise, interferes with the audio, but the audio from these mics was so clean that they just used it from all the real takes. And here with this guy, they didn't even bother removing the mic from the poster. This is supposed to be set in the future, but in half a year we're coming out with a new mic that's even better and looks different, so it's going to be outdated, but they just love the mic so much. And the whole first season of this was recorded by Chris Durfee. He did, for instance, Mad Max, and the audio was amazing. For the second season, he was busy doing another project, so he asked one of the guys in his company to go do the Stranger Things season 2. They recorded 3 episodes, and then the Netflix producer called Chris Durfee and says, this isn't working out, we need you back, and we need you now. He came back, and he found out that the guy he had sent as a replacement, he didn't use DPA mics because he hadn't had experience with them, and he just used something else. So they got him out of there, got Chris Durfee in, and recorded the rest of the season 2. And if you go home and you watch this on Netflix, you can hear it. If you turn off the subtitles, we usually just read the subtitles, makes us easier to understand the audio. But if you turn off the subtitles and listen to the first 3 episodes, there's a lot of the dialogue that you can understand. It's difficult to hear what they're saying. And that's exactly what our microphones are so good at. So if you start from episode 4 and forward, it sounds really, really good. And why is audio so important? We've done some tests. Other people have done these tests as well. We've taken a big group of people, sent them to see the same movie in 3 groups. The first group had amazing image and audio. The second group, we made bad audio, and the third group had bad image. Of course, group number 1 had the best experience. But there was a huge difference between group number 2 and group number 3. Group number 3 almost had as good as an experience as group 1, where group number 2, they hated their experience. And we don't really give credit to audio as much as it actually matters. Another example is news broadcast. This is from the last election here in Denmark. TV2 did, I don't know if you've seen it, it's called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. They did that just with politicians. And they had an issue, but in the news broadcasting area, if you cut the video, it's not a problem. They will put a still image on of the person they're interviewing or the setting where they're being interviewed. They have already prepared this. If the audio just skips a little bit, within 1 or 2 seconds, they will jump back to the studio and says, oh, we lost the transmission here. This is something that we have a hard time understanding, and it's something we are working on a lot because this is, in essence, our challenge. If you look at a live performance, this is the audio chain. You have a microphone. Usually that's put into a wireless transmitter that goes into a wireless receiver, goes into a big preamp, goes into a very big console, and out through a big speaker array. This is a very expensive setup. But this part right here, it costs next to nothing compared to any of these other parts of the audio chain. However, if you buy a microphone that's twice as good, twice as expensive usually, you will get so much more better audio because that's one of the essential parts in this whole audio chain. So doubling the price of this is nothing compared to what this console costs, but you get so much more value. And there's not a lot of audio engineers that actually understands this. And the people who are in charge of purchasing, they just look at the difference, not in relation to the actual audio quality. But this is what we work with every single day, is trying to convince all these people how much bigger difference they can make just by choosing the right microphone. It's a minor investment, it makes all the difference. And now I'm getting into a little bit how we are set up as a company. We develop and manufacture a lot of microphones, and we develop them from the concept of an Agile stage gate. I don't know if it's something you have as part of your class? No? Agile stage gate is a model where everything is adaptable really quick, and you have a lot of decisions to either go forth or abandon the project. And of course, it costs money to go through this chain, and it costs resources that could be spent on other more important products. So that's why we have all these gates, gate U, A, A2, and so forth. At every single gate, there is a decision to go forth, abandon, or go back. That means we can fail early, and that is really important. It's also a very good model because everybody knows what's expected of them, when and in what quality. Because there are big documents that are designed up to each gate with the specifications for every single part of the product and responsibility for all the different people involved. If we look at this product versioning, it gives a pretty good idea of the steps involved. First of all, this is gate U. That's before we start the product. We actually have a whole process before this. And that process is a group called Innovation Team, where we sit from all parts of the company. Our responsibility is to collect, structure, and try to organize all the different ideas that we have in order to create new products every year. The numbers we have to come up with in order to make these 2 major products each year and 4 minor is close to 100. Every single year we need to make mini business cases and find 100 good ideas, so we can select the really great ideas and move them through this line. It's a really important part of our process and very exciting. If you look at the product versioning, once it comes from the innovation team, they will look at the idea and try to design and conceptualize what is possible. Then there's other people involved in trying to figure out, is this a product that the market actually wants and how many people are willing to purchase it at what price? Then we do prototypes, alpha and beta model, where it's just a proof of concept. They usually don't even look anything like the final product. They are built with cardboard and small 3D printed plastic pieces, just a proof of concept. And then we start doing test series. Test series still doesn't look like the final product, but it's something that we can adjust and put into an actual setting and see how they sound, how they perform. Then we jump into the 0 series. 0 series will be used for, they are not for sale, but we give them to all our masters, we give them to our distributors, we test them ourselves, get them out into the field and have other people's feedback, and we still have time to adjust after that. So that's a huge benefit. And then over here we start ramping up, meaning we start producing a lot of microphones of this type. We usually have an estimate, how many do we think we're going to sell within the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and then they start creating all those mic. We get it wrong every single time, but at least we have an idea. And I'm in digital marketing. I'm not even allowed until around here. That's where we start building the concept for this. We figure out what should it be named, what are other people charging for it, where should we market it, and stuff like that. Any questions to this big German slide?
Do you ever go out and talk to your clients about the problems they're facing before the innovation process?
Yes. And it's both part before Get You over here and also part of this. An idea can be a technology, a smaller capsule. But that's a technology platform. We're not even certain which markets it would fit for yet or how it should be packaged. Should it be a headset? Should it be a lavalier? And with a product that's coming later this year, we made a huge project where we were out talking all over the world with 200 different of our key customers, our lighthouse customers, without telling them what we're producing, but as you say, just asking them, what are your pain points? What problems would you like seeing solved? Anyone else? Yeah? Depends on the product. There's a product manager in charge, and he goes around asking everybody, okay, with this, how much do you think, how long will it take, what are the obstacles, ordering issues. That's usually a big part of this timeline when we have to wait for 3D print from out of the house or parts we can't manufacture ourselves or don't have. Yes? It's very, very precise, this manufacturing process. When I just got hired by DPA, I went up to the production facility to have a look around, and I was blown away. I'm a commercial guy. I've never had anything to do with manufacturing, but it was amazing to see. It's so precise, it's so small. They have 200 hands-on steps. They are hand-built, every single model. And they are calibrated and measured and calibrated and measured. It's amazing. They sit, what's it called in English, soldering? Is that correct? So, in these, and I looked at a petri dish with small metal shards, and I was thinking, okay, that's some leftover. No, that was something they were soldering onto the small print board. It's amazing. This right here, a microphone consists of, in the most basic parts, it's a backplate. Well, for this type of microphone, we do what's called condenser microphones. And that means there's some air in between a backplate and a membrane, and of course around that there's a housing. And that's done in a clean room with some plastic sheeting it's so thin I can't even remember them. It's ridiculous. And after it's really thin, they stretch it so it becomes even thinner. And then they take the backplate and the housing and put it on the membrane. This here has 100 potential capsules. It's not exact science, it's close to, but when we manufacture this screen right here, you get these 100 potential microphones. The first half of them, when they're tested the first time, they're thrown out. They're no good. And then one or two of them are measured to be able to live up to this standard, meaning they can become this type of microphone. Then there's a bigger part that can become this type of microphone, and so forth. And then there's some of them that we can see, okay, if we tweak them a little bit, they can become this type of microphone or this type of microphone. So even before we start manufacturing, we are measuring. I have a little video explaining how miniature this is. It's with an end product, but it says something about how small this is. Let's see if I can get it here. No? Let me just get it here. Bear with me. Now, I'm going to send the video to you guys, and you'll see him afterwards. No? Okay. We are located in the most of the world. We have, our setup is made with distributors in each different country who has a number of dealers that they are responsible for. We have our own company in the United States. They are the distributor, and they have, I think it's 700 or 800 dealers that they are addressing. Then we have an office in Hong Kong. They are not the distributor, they are still just an extension of DPA, but because that market is so different, they need to be close to the distributors. Then we have in Copenhagen, where the main office is, we have area sales managers. An area sales manager will be responsible for a number of distributors in Europe and the rest of the world. And those distributors then have the responsibility for a number of dealers. And as I said, we have just acquired two of our main distributors, the UK and the German distributor. The UK was, none of these was hostile takeovers per se. The UK was simply because we had such a good relationship, and the two guys who had started Sound Network, as it's called, they had built an amazing business, but they were old and tired, and they didn't want to do it anymore. So we contacted them, and they were open for the suggestion that we buy them with everything. They even maintained the old name, but now they can focus a little bit more on DPA. In Germany, we had a distributor who was continuously underperforming. It's one of our most important markets, and he wasn't doing enough. We have a requirement if you want to be a distributor for DPA. Depending on the size of the market, you need to have X amount of people doing nothing but DPA. They need to go and visit clients, they need to build campaigns, they need to make phone calls, because this is not a product where we can market it like a B2C, because it's really, really B2B. You have to know the people, you have to show them. And again, coming back to the microphone, trying to convince them to invest in good microphones, they need to hear the product. Otherwise, we can't convince them all the marketing bullshit that I'm doing doesn't work. We need to get the product out there, hook it up to their audio system, and make sure they hear the difference. And you need people on the ground to do that. 2,000 dealers. Dealers here is both rental. They are system integrators who will be doing, well, stuff like this room, making sure the wireless system works and providing the mics. Dealers can both be brick and mortar shops where they have it on the shelf. They can also be specialized dealers who only sell by calling up the customer and going to them and making sure they buy. And rental, they rent for all the big festivals and music shows and stuff like that. And then, of course, there's the e-tailers. Most of the sales of our product is in Europe from Thomann. It's a huge outlet. And in the rest of the world, it's Amazon. Even business to business today prefer shopping on Amazon, because it's easy, it's fast, they have the right images, they are very willing to take back the product. It's ridiculous, and especially for us, because we need people to hear the product, and we can't do that on a digital platform, so that's a huge challenge for us. But most of the people we talk to, they buy via Amazon or Thomann. I found this very interesting. We had a report done a few years ago, where do our customers come from? 60% of our sales are repeat purchases. That means that we have a very loyal customer base. I'm proud to say that once they start buying DPA, they usually don't turn anywhere else because they know the value and they can hear it. And our microphones are, especially when you experience issues, that's when you're sad you didn't have a DPA, because that's where we're really strong, in the outer cases of difficult audio. But the repurchasing cycle, as I said with theater, they break all the time. They're used to it, they are okay with, but ours break less often. Live rental, of course, that's for the big shows, and those microphones are seeing a lot of abuse. When you rent something, you don't take care of it as much as if it was your own. So they buy repeatedly. Broadcast and installation, almost the same cycle. In broadcast, it's usage, that's the problem. In installation, it's usually new installation areas, because the microphones we put in the ceiling, this one for instance, they don't get tampered with. They just sit there and are allowed to just perform, and they stay there for a long time. But the studio, those are the mics, the long pencil ones. They last forever. It's a bad market. But I mean, that's how it is. If we don't sell microphones, we cannot create new microphones, and we cannot make sure our microphones get to the people who need them. And so when we sell a studio microphone, it's fine, but we know they're not going to buy from us for 10 years, so it's not a market we focus a lot on. But with all the other markets, we can continuously make a living and make sure we can keep on employing people and creating new awesome products. Yeah?
So you said you spend a lot on R&D.
Yes.
That doesn't really align with the studio having a microphone for 10 years. Isn't there any sort of development with the quality of the sound?
We, again, with building the best microphone within each category, there's no competitors right now. So we could make the microphone even better, and we continuously do so. We've just developed a new platform for the electronics within a microphone. It's called Core by DPA, and it's a new way of making the print. And that improves the microphones a lot. Right now, we've just focused on putting it into the miniatures, but it will come to the studio microphones as well. And we are continuously doing microphones for these markets. And that's because it's a show-off market. You need to be able to provide microphones for almost every segment in order to get noticed. So you make sure that even though we know we're going to make the most money from you buying these miniature microphones, the access to you will be through this expensive microphone that you're going to keep for 25 years. Yeah?
I was just wondering, if they break, do they
depending on the microphone. The miniatures, some things we will fix, for instance, if the cable breaks. But if it's something in the housing and it's within guarantee, we just replace it. With the bigger microphones, the pencil microphones, we can easily fix them. But we have a service both in Germany, in Denmark, in Hong Kong, and the US, and we try to fix as much as we can, but in some of the microphones, in order to get them so small, you know this with phones as well, in order to get them this small, you really need to make them non-fixable. It's simply not possible to make it fixable when it's this small. So that's cost benefit within that. Yeah?
One moment, please. Can we use the microphone because then it's re-recorded? The red one box?
Is that a microphone?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And you can throw it around.
Amazing.
It's probably not a DPA.
Oh,
So you have an inspiration now.
yeah.
You said your quality is the best, but the most expensive. But why is it so expensive?
One of the reasons being, of course, our technology is better, and we don't cut off any corners. And the other part being, it's hand manufactured in Denmark. That has something to do with of course, manufacturing in Denmark is more expensive, but we get a more consistent output, and we have higher quality. So it all fits together. It is more expensive, but as I said, it's a minor part of the total setup. So our job is to convince them that it's a good investment. You had a question as well?
No, it was regarding the microphone.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? This is the ideal setup. This is what we want to do. We, as DPA Microphones, we of course have close contact with our distributors, and we also have close contact to our dealers, and we communicate with our end users, and so forth down the line. Every part communicating with the next lines. That's not a reality, unfortunately, not in all markets at least. From our end, a lot of our distributors are very protectionistic. Some of them don't even want us to contact the dealers. Some of them don't even want us to contact the end users because they're afraid we're just going to take them over. They have a point with us taking over Germany and UK, but it's not a plan for the rest of the market. But they're very protectionistic. I even had an issue last year. We had a competition, and a guy in Switzerland won a microphone, and I contacted the distributor just asking, hey, this guy in your country has won a microphone. Would you want us to send it to him, just so he doesn't have to do anything, or would you like to send it yourself? And his reply was, don't ever contact anybody in my country, ever. Okay, so we fired him. He was not performing, he was annoying. When we fired him, he bought up a lot of DPA. He has loads of money, I don't know where he gets it. He bought up a lot of DPA microphones and started selling them on eBay at lower cost just to sink the market. That's the kind of guy he is. Anyways, our distributors, this market is made of people from the industry. When they become a distributor, usually they have been an audio engineer or a musician themselves, and they've decided this is not for me, but I'm going to stay within, and then they start selling microphones. That's very good because they understand the product, but they are not very commercial. And in this competitive market, you need to be commercial, you need to have that understanding. So that's why they are not doing enough getting to the end users. They are not even doing enough getting to the dealers. So our challenge is to educate these guys not only with how microphones work, how our microphones work, but also what their opportunities are. We spend a lot of time setting up, when we do a product launch, half of it is planning what we are going to do towards the market. The other part is making plans and giving ideas to distributors what they can do in their own market, because we need to teach them. The same with dealers. We want to reach them more, we want to educate them, because again, once you understand why a DPA microphone is worth it, it's an easy sell and it's an easy buy. But So education, all the way down the line, is what we spend a lot of our time on. We have on our website called Microphone University, where also schools and other people use the stuff we have written because it's very accurate and not that DPA promoting. It's very honest. It's not to sell microphones, but it's, of course, it works for us to sell microphones. Our setup is rather standard. One thing that exemplifies how innovation heavy we are is that the chief operating officer, that person would usually sit a bit up and have responsibility, for instance, in marketing and HR. In our company, he only has responsibility for R&D and production. That's his entire focus, and he's very good at it. Any questions? So, getting to what it's all about. That's our de facto vocal microphone. You've all been giving the case already, right? Okay. What I want to do here now is just go through some of the aspects of the case so you can ask questions and maybe go into depth with some of it. The de facto vocal microphone. Sorry. It's usually for the lead singer or the backup singer. Our microphone is extremely linear in the frequency response, meaning that it replicates what the person sings very precisely. This is our way of looking at what a good microphone should be, because usually when you equalize, when you do a live performance, in the high end of the spectrum, you would actually boost the sound a little bit. It sounds better. So a lot of our competitors, they actually have that boost built in. We also have a boost, but it's smaller, because we believe that we give you a clean output, and then you can tweak the output the way you want it. It's modular. That's something none of the competitors have, but it's something we needed to do in order to be able to fit to the wireless systems. Let me just see here. I'm just making sure I don't forget anything. And it's the most expensive product on the market. It's too bad I can't show the video. I'll send it to you, but it's pretty amazing. Whether you like her music or not, she is a very talented singer, and she is very, very big. She only uses DPA. And she loves our microphones. This was taken at the Royal Arena, where she dropped. This wasn't staged. I'm so sad it wasn't staged. I would have been proud to say I staged that. I made sure it happened. But she dropped our microphone, picked it up, and she started talking about how amazing it was that this microphone still worked. And it was a DPA, and it's manufactured here in Denmark, and I love these microphones, and it was amazing. It wasn't staged, but it was amazing. Looking at the price spectrum of all these different microphones, you see all of our competitors, they have a large spectrum of where they put the prices on their products. They have a microphone that sits here, sits here, sits here, sits here. We only have one. And that's because our mantra is that we build the best microphone within the category that we build a microphone for. So that kind of limits us to this position way up here. But that's something we've had to rethink, because we've been told a lot that it's simply too expensive. It's too difficult to tell your manager or the purchasing director that I need this microphone, because he looks at it, well, it's almost twice the price. Forget about it. So this is what the case is all about. That entire opportunity spectrum below our microphone. It is not something we have done before, because we always do the best microphones that we possibly can. If we look at performance, I don't have any numbers for this. This is perhaps a little bit subjective, but if you look at the price versus performance, you have ours, which performs extremely well, but is very expensive. And then you have our closest competitors. The Neumann and the Shure are very, very good microphones. They are not as good as this one in regards to, again, the edge cases, where you get the trouble. Our microphone is better, but they sound really well. This one isn't that good, the Sennheiser. The reason why it's up there is it's actually a competitor, because Sennheiser, we don't make the wireless systems. So we have to, when Sennheiser makes a wireless system, they almost give this for free. They sell a wireless system and put a microphone in the pack and say, here you go. So we have to convince them not only that our microphone is better, we have to convince them to take that microphone, throw it out, replace it with ours, which cost almost the same as their wireless system. That's a hard sale. So that's why we want to place ourselves right here. We, of course, want to be better than the competition, but we want to price ourselves at the same level. And we believe with our technology, especially within miniature microphones, which are cheaper to produce than the big capsules you see on the de facto, that we can do this and make a really, really good product. The keywords that R&D have put forth for this is that, of course, it should be DPA standard. It should have a surface quality. What I mean by this is that if you take our de facto and throw it down here, it hits the floor, you will see almost no scratches on it. It's a long fall, but it will be all right, and the materials are really good. If you take the market level, it will get a dent, and there's also a risk of it breaking. The materials, again, cheaper materials allows for a cheaper microphone. And it will be non-modular, meaning you have to buy one for your wireless system, or your other wireless system, or a wired system. It doesn't have the modularity. With our de facto, it costs, the most expensive part is the little capsule. So that's why we made it modular, so you can just replace the part you need to make it for a wireless system. It will be linear, so the audio engineer can equalize it himself. If it have a pattern that on market level, it's something between the cardioid and supercardioid, meaning it's rather directional. So the person singing it, you'll get that sound and not from the instruments from the side. The reason why it's not one of those, you have, on these type of mics, you always make sure that there's no audio from the back of the microphone, because that's where you usually have a monitor giving you the feedback, the audio that you are singing. So, and there's a little bit of a delay, so that will cause issues in the microphone. So that's why it's not a perfect cardioid or supercardioid. Noise level, on par with market. THD, that stands for total harmonic distortion. With all microphones, there's some leftover resonance that gives distortion. And the louder you scream into the microphone, the more distortion you will get. 1% THD is where 1% of the audio output is distortion. And that's kind of where a lot of people set the limit as to the acceptable distortion. Above that, up to around 10% THD, you can still use the audio, but you have to work hard to make it work. And then we'll make sure that everybody can see it's a DPA. And something that most of our competitors don't is allow the grid to be cleaned. We want to do that. The pop and handling noise, that is something we excel in as well. We want to make sure we get this along to the little brother of the de facto. The pop is the pop. The reason why that's an issue is because not only are you getting the audio level pushing the membrane, you also get a lot of air. And it's a noise we all make when we talk. So that pop protection needs to be good. And of course, the handling noise, when you switch the microphone, the whole microphone will resonate. Ours is very good to handling that noise. We want to make sure that that is really good as well. In conclusion, we want to build a microphone that's priced the same as the competitors, better than the competitors, but make sure that there's enough difference up to our premium microphone so we don't cannibalize that market. Because that's, even though we don't make that much money selling a de facto because it's really expensive to produce, it's still our premium product. It's the best product out there. We want to market that, but we still want to create gateway drug if you want. So that brings us to the problem statement. What do you think of this? Is it something you can work with? Is it exciting? Silent consent? Good. We've made 3 optional tracks for you to be able to follow. This is totally optional, but it's some of the areas we saw some interest in. And that could be how we can prepare the sales chain. Because our entire chain is made of people not necessarily being commercial. They are used to addressing a particular part of the market, and that's the high-end market. Now we are asking them to go down the line and access the cheaper high-end market. It's not a certainty that they are able to do this or they know how. So how can we design our whole sales chain around this and making sure we reach that market as well? The second track is what impact will this have on our brand positioning and our whole access to market? Because we are right now regarded as the premium brand, the highest of the highest. Now we're producing something that's not as good. What will it do to our brand? And how should we approach the whole marketing strategy and the sales strategy of this type of market approach? And the final track is the organizational strategy. I mean, of course, when we do products that are cheaper, we cannot spend as much money on developing it and producing it. So what can we do to facilitate this change? Should we do a separate production facility only focusing on these type of attainable products? Should we have an R&D department that's specialized within this? Salespeople, distributors, how should we do the organizational strategy to facilitate this whole change? We have all our own ideas, but we want to hear what you have to say. And finally, I have to ask you, we have put a lot of thought and effort into this. We have a lot of ideas. And what I would encourage you to do is look at the bold ideas. Look at all the stuff that we haven't thought about. Of course, you have to apply your theory and do some research. So not just crazy ideas, but try to think out of the box. What haven't we at DPA thought of? That would be really beneficial to us. And that's it, I think. Is it a break and then questions?
Yeah, well, I think we should give a hand. And then have a 10-minute break, so meet here 11:10 and think about in the break what questions you would like to ask Stephen, and not only think big, but also think in theoretical models, because what's important in your assignment here is that you use the number of the models that you have been taught through this part of the course. So think about how you can apply these theoretical models in the case here.